Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining today. This is your host Nino, inviting you to the unboxing of perhaps the cheapest new Android tablet that I have ever seen, having been purchased from Amazon for €40. Something called model KT1018, here written to be from a company called Cheer Joy, on Amazon being sold as a brand Free Sky. So apparently these nominations are somewhat unreliable, but KT1018 seems to be reasonably reliable. And this is a 7-inch tablet with allegedly 8GB RAM, 64GB flash space, and a reasonably modern Android version. So let us see whether these claims hold true and what things look like over here. I intend to turn it on best without installing a Google account, as I will need it for certain experiments. And it will be interesting to see what facilities it offers by default. As you can see, it comes in a very simple wrapping. And the way I understood the description, it does not actually contain a charger. It merely contains perhaps a cable. Now, opening it here from the left, I can already reach some sort of main packaging. And there seems to be nothing further inside this box. As it is a kid's tablet, 7-inch size, all it apparently contains is the tablet itself, with a mapping of the controls with the front camera, a headphone jack, which I see as a big plus and which is nice for my intended experiments, a micro SD card slot, USB-C port requiring 5V and 2A. I'm having here also some further instructions. Please read these instructions carefully before using. Remove the protective film. Clear. Power on. Press and hold the power button until the screen turns on. If the tablet won't power on, charge it for 2 hours and then try again. Wait for 1 till 3 minutes during initial startup until instructions for setting the language appear. And then complete the setup by following the on-screen instructions. So this should be pretty much like any Android tablet. Just to make sure, let me have a brief look also at the user guide, which is simply calling it a Kid Tablet 7. And yeah, we do not really see anything unusual. A little bit of troubleshooting, that it contains a rechargeable battery, an outline of what is where, so nothing surprising. The only thing I find somewhat entertaining is that we don't seem to see who actually makes this thing. Like, looking even at the contact us address, it is customer Service Care. It's like customer service care, sort of, but written strangely at outlook.com. So while it looks decent enough in a first impression, it seems to be made by people who value their anonymity. Well, whatever, one can think of that. So removing here this protective screen, which immediately sticks to my hand due to static electricity, and turning the whole affair on, the whole thing is starting, powered by Android Go edition. So this must be this cut down, somewhat less complete version of Android that I read that it exists. However, I have never yet experienced it, and frankly speaking, it was not mentioned in the description. It was mentioned that it has Android, not Android Go. Would I have taken it anyway? Rather likely, yes. But beware, it is the Go edition. It would be really nice if the Smart Life within range continues. English United States is okay. Vision settings, I don't think I'll need to set up much there. Letter sizes and so on, but who cares? So start. The battery seems to be reasonable enough. Now it is trying to connect to the Wi-Fi network. Okay, I might even say setup offline. If I do so, what will happen? I mean, that should just work, right? So setup offline. Setup offline. Connecting to a Wi-Fi or mobile network helps you quickly set up your table. Without the connection, you can't sign into your Google account, which, however, I don't want to do. Restore apps and data, nor do I want to do that. Get software updates and automatically set up time and date. I'm fine with all of these conditions. So let's do an offline setup. No, the time is not Pacific Standard Time. We're talking here rather of CET. And I find it super funny how it is insisting on mentioning all sorts of strange places except what I care about, which would be Vienna, Austria right now. But let's take Amsterdam. It is the 18th of February. No, it's not. Actually, it is the 10th of March. But that gives you a good idea of what it believes the initial time to be. So it is a relatively newly produced device. Okay, and the time is not 1640, but quite exactly 2130. Okay, so 21 and 30. Okay. Next. Google services. Use location. Allow apps and services with location permission to use your device's location. And Google may collect location data. No. Allow scanning. Certainly not. Send usage and diagnostic data. No. Install updates and apps. Yeah. By continuing, you agree, blah, blah, blah. It's actually really funny because that's not really a possibility to argue for consent, given that I have no choice to decline this. And I mean, I paid for this device. So now I need to set up a pin. Let's take... Oh, I can just skip this. Skipping it for now. Skip screen lock? Yes, skip anyway. Getting your tablet ready. This may take a few minutes. Very good. And here I am in my wonderful offline setup. Tablet, that's it. It's jumping a bit around, but in general terms, this is it. And there are quite some apps installed. I can see here Chrome and Gmail and a couple of other Google apps. There is some YouTube Kids, and so on and so forth. So it gives a decent initial choice of things. Looks to be reasonably snappy. And I think in a next step, I may actually connect to the internet so that we may swiftly test how fast it is in terms of browsing. So I just connected to the internet. Now let's try here, for instance, Chrome. I don't want to send anybody any statistics. I just want to use the browser. I don't want to turn on synchronization. I do not want to set up an account. And now let's go as a very first website. I don't want Chrome notifications. No thanks. I want to go to bbc.com. Very well. So the pictures seem to be an issue somehow, but the rest of the site was built up reasonably swiftly. And then finally we also get images. So definitely it is usable. Let's say that we look at this tanker transporting jet fuel. Yeah, we go there and both vessels sustain significant damage. Then we are having some spilling into the North Sea link. What happens then? Well, despite being called a kid's tablet, for a device of that size, it certainly practically swiftly connects to browsing. Now the question is, can we watch videos? So let's again look at all apps by moving up. And let's start YouTube. Will we have smooth playback on these? Do I allow YouTube? Okay, update. Can I update without Google Play? No, I cannot. Well then no update, just YouTube. If it continues to insist on that, then frankly speaking, I'll try it over the browser. So let's go to YouTube. Yes. Can I operate this thing without Google Play? It is truly resisting. Can I disable YouTube? If it demands an update, maybe simply not having it. Yeah, disable. Yeah, disable app. Excellent. Maybe that will finally force it to simply play it in the browser. And that looks so far rather promising. Yeah, reject all. Wonderful. Let's look at my own channel, because my videos I do not need to pay regard to concerning usage rights. I mean, they are mine, right? And then let's try to play anything. Okay, so let's save Linux from inside DOS. How smoothly will that play? Oh gosh, I hate their advertisements, like truly I do. Seriously? This is so... Okay. Yeah, I got it. What happens if I fast forward somewhere? No, I don't want to sign in. Stop trying to persuade me.
Here it's Windows 3.11, Windows using the common directory structure we would sort of expect of the C drive, which means we can actually go to the buslin directory from where our adventure really started.
Well, this looks reasonably usable. I can navigate positions without having to wait too long for the reloading. So that I count as a success. I do believe that YouTube is usable from this tablet. Very good. Let's close that if it will finally react. And then let's go to the settings and have a bit of a look at what sort of device we're really talking about. Now, everybody said that the battery life isn't phenomenal, and that seems to be true. It says that about an hour and a quarter are left. Online, some battery life of up to 4 hours was advertised, which in reality is usually half. So I think that this idea of 71% corresponding to an hour and a quarter is realistic. In other words, I'm having about 1.5 to 2 hours mobile life with this, which isn't particularly much, but is nonetheless decent enough for my purposes specifically. So it does have 64 gigabyte. The system itself takes 12. Good, then let's look at the system. So it's running Android 13. Very fine. The system properties, however, reveal that the memory is a lie. It's advertised as 8 gigabyte, but what we can see here is clearly it is 2 gigabyte plus 6 gigabyte in terms of virtual memory. So telling me here the total memory is 2048 megabyte plus 6 gigabyte smart storage is in reality false advertisement. Like, if you're having a 2 gigabyte tablet, then call it a 2 gigabyte tablet. Don't call it an 8 gigabyte tablet. And as much I shall certainly write in the Amazon review of this thing. Well, I mean, it is functional, but one should not lie, right? I should perhaps also say something about the camera. So tapping it here, it starts up reasonably swiftly, but I'm not sure you see it. It seems to have issues focusing. Like if I look here at Amazon.de, like German Amazon basically, if I increase this, you can perhaps see that it is not catching the writing on my cell phone very well. Whereas, as you can see, of course, the display on my cell phone itself is actually very crisp. So the camera is clearly unimpressive. And finally, this somewhat weird cover it is presenting is it is able to apparently stand like that. And so one could theoretically, just have it that way and let it stand a bit in some semi-lifted fashion so that you can watch it. Well, that's pretty much what there is to say about it. Like, it is reasonably fast, the space is large enough, the memory is too little. It is a Go edition, but then again, for 40 euro, the properties one can expect seem to be about these. And with that, I hope you found today's review informative. I hope to greet you here soon again for further adventures. Until we meet again, I wish you a wonderful time. Thank you for joining today. Thank you for watching. And from me, goodbye.